We move now to the announcement that Labor's Deputy Leader Annette King is to retire at the next election. First elected in 1984, she and Trevor Mallard are the only Labor MPs remaining in Parliament from the class of 84, although Peter Dunn was elected with them then too. As MP for the Wellington electorate of Rongotai, she's remained a popular and respected figure in both caucus and the wider party throughout Labor's time in government and opposition, working closely with many of the 8 Labor leaders she has worked under. But over the weekend, as Jacinda Ardern's comprehensive victory in the Mount Albert by-election led to increasing talk about her value to the party, speculation began to rise about Labor's deputy leadership. Don't expect any change, Andrew Little said. Annette King herself dismissed the idea that the Auckland MP could offer something she wasn't already offering. And Jacinda Ardern said, well, I'm not offering it. All that changed this morning with Annette King announcing she would go and she was backing Jacinda Ardern to replace her. Andrew Little then announced he would nominate Jacinda Ardern to be Deputy Leader and he would back her in the caucus vote next week. Just after that announcement, I spoke to them both asking Andrew Little why.
Because Jacinda, I've obviously known Jacinda for a while. She's been in Parliament since 2008. She is a fantastic network organiser and proven herself campaigning. In what was a very difficult, if a very odd, by-election campaign in Mount Albert, she proved that she can get that vote out. But the truth is, Jacinda connects with a part of the electorate that, we've worked pretty hard to connect with for a long time, and she represents a generation who are the ones who are missing out from a government that has neglected the challenges that go with housing, that go with jobs, that go with education. And, she speaks to that generation, and that's important for us.
Sorry, Jacinda Ardern, it's rude to have you here when we're talking about you rather than to you.
It's not all awkward, John, don't worry.
Sorry, no, that is slightly odd. You say she connects with part of the electorate, Andrew Little. That would be Auckland, wouldn't it? Because in you, Annette King and Grant Robertson, you had 1, 2, 3 in Wellington, right? And that is not a good look for a party that needs to win Auckland in order to become government.
Auckland is vital, but yeah, connecting with Auckland, connecting with as I say, a generation who around New Zealand, because it's not the housing crisis isn't just Auckland. It's Hamilton, it's Tauranga. I was down at Gisborne, and they might expect to pay lower prices for a house in Gisborne, but actually for there, when they've got massive hikes in their prices, they are feeling that the chronic housing crisis now is reaching them, and it is young people who are missing out. Those people early in their careers who now see, even after working hard and saving hard, they may face the prospect of never owning their own home. And so we wanted to speak clearly to that generation, because we can fix this. We need a political will to do so, and this general election is about whether we're prepared to make that choice to provide the fixes to give every New Zealander a chance to get ahead.
Jacinda Ardern, why do you want this? Because you have resolutely, singularly and unequivocally not wanted it prior to today.
Yeah, as I've always said, my ambition is for Labor to be in government. When we're in government, that means that we have the ability to make the changes that we've spent time developing, the ideas we want to implement, to address things like the housing crisis and a personal issue for me that I've always advocated for, child wellbeing, child poverty. So I've always said if the team has needed me to do a particular role, then I will do that role. And Andrew has asked me to take on this job, and if the team backs me on Tuesday, then that is what I'll do. For me, it's all about us being in a position to be constructive, to make the change New Zealand needs.
When did this happen? Because in the last 48 hours, you have absolutely unequivocally said, no, it's not me and it's not happening. When did it happen and how did it happen?
Yeah, I haven't sought it. I've always been open. I haven't asked. And I until this time, that hasn't been an opportunity that's been presented to me. But I've been asked. And now, for me, it's all about what do we need to do to make sure we can change the government, and not just for change's sake, but so that we can fix the housing crisis, so we can eradicate child poverty, so we can make progress on the issues we need. And so putting all of the personal aside and just saying what's needed, and if the team wants me, that's what I'll do.
Andrew Little, what conversations did you have with Annette King? In other words, was the writing put on the wall, or was the writing on the wall and someone just pointed her at the wall? I mean, what took place? Clearly Annette King has stepped down, and clearly she has done this for her own reasons. But did someone say to her, hey, we're terribly sorry, but now is the time?
What I can say of Annette is, she is very much in charge of her own destiny. She made this decision, and she told me yesterday.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's a good response, but it's a somewhat semantic response. She made her own decision after what? What conversations preceded that decision?
Well, there's two things. Of course, I'm having conversations with Annette multiple times a day, every day, because that's the nature of a leader, deputy leader.
Right.
No, let me finish, because I know you're trying to look for, and you're not the first journalist to look for some sort of crack to say this has all been set up long ago.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But I just wonder.
I know, and you won't be alone in that wondering. But can I just say this, is that Annette came to this decision herself, and she told me about her decision yesterday about not just stepping out of the deputy role, but retiring and stepping out of all kind of roles pending the election.
And you tried to persuade her to stay on the front bench?
Because she's fantastic on that. She's fantastic in health. And, she did take time to think about that, and she came to me last night and said, no, I've made a decision. I'm ready to call it quits. And
okay.
I respect
accept
that.
all of that. I accept all of that, but I want to know what conversations that decision followed.
Well, I don't know all of the conversations Annette has had.
With you, the conversations with you?
No, well, all that matters, what matters is that Annette, because she is a strong-willed woman, which is why I enjoyed having her as my deputy.
And our loyalty to her as friends and colleagues is to respect that she made this decision. She called me yesterday and she told me this is what she wanted to do and that she supported me to take on the role from her. I felt humbled by that. I felt saddened as well at the same time, and I think that's probably how we all feel, because she is such an amazing support network for all of us. She's been a stellar Member of Parliament, and I think probably it does us a disservice if we continue to pull through the machinations of the decision she has made.
So I found it very difficult when she was told me her decision. But
did you find it difficult on a personal level, but there must have been some part of you that thought, right, this is renewal, it's rejuvenation, it's Auckland in my top two, and it's a woman who has just comfortably won a by-election, albeit one that National didn't stand in. There must have been some part of you that thought, this is good.
All of those things. In the end, as a party leader, you look for opportunities all the time, and the opportunity arose. Okay. I've got to think about the future, and obviously as a political party facing a general election, I've got to think about how we perform best in a general election. And a set of circumstances has arisen in the last day or so that has allowed me to make a set of judgments and calls that's led to me nominating Jacinda for deputy.
You said you've got to think about the future. What about any other reshuffles? Are you going to look at your front bench, and in fact your second bench, and make some changes there? Is now the time to do it while these discussions are taking place?
Well, there's no scope for wholesale change. With the change in deputy after the caucus decision next week, there's also Raymond Ho coming back in, so there'll have to be a bit of jiggling around over portfolio responsibilities. There'll be nothing wholesale, nothing big, but it'll be setting us up for the best possible team we can get to lead us into September.
And in the best possible team that Labor can get to lead you into the election in September, you will be number two, almost inevitably, because with the leaders backing, it does seem like a fait accompli right next week at caucus. What will you bring to it, Jacinda Ardern? Let's end on that question. What will you bring to it, do you think?
My strength and utter determination. As I've said, the fact that I'm now in this position has been because my team has decided via Andrew to consider me for the job. And as I approach every job in politics, I'll put everything I have into seeing our team over the line.
Jacinda Ardern and Andrew Little speaking to me this morning, shortly after that announcement.